Kalkreuther here. I'm the Director of Research in the Design School at Heriot-Watt University. And I welcome you to the webinar. And I'd like to just introduce some of the thinking that goes into our teaching and research at the school. So we understand that a lot of the problems related to sustainability are systemic problems, that a lot of design needs to concentrate on tackling these problems as system problems as well. And so we'll get students always to collaborate a lot across disciplines. So you'll study in a very transdisciplinary environment with lots of options available to dip into other areas of studies. We see design as something that is really mission focused, so something that identifies how we could think of, create, and realize preferred futures in fashion and textiles, but also in any other areas of design, in the building industry, in production, in products, in communication, and so on. So what does systems thinking or transition design actually mean? It means that you will always collaborate with other disciplines. It means that you will always seek to find out who are the stakeholders that are interesting for you to talk to and to work with. And you might then find shared goals with these stakeholders. We tend to encourage local specific projects for students to actually have a look at, wherever that local might be. It might be local to where you are from, it might be local to where you intend to work, or it might be local to where you are studying. But everything we do is globally relevant. We've got campuses in different parts of the world, and our academics come from different parts of the world as well. So we encourage you to really think about a cosmopolitan approach to design wherever you study. So that is really a very quick roundup of what transition design could mean when you study at the design school at Heriot-Watt. Just some statistics here to convince you, if that is needed, of why transition design is such an important approach. We do have an awful lot of waste and impact on the planet and on people through fashion and textiles, and a lot of other design disciplines as well. And we need to work together to, for example, just three little examples here on this slide, to understand what the impact of our designed environments actually is, to work from materials right through to consumer behavior to actually tackle the big challenges in design. And we look forward to welcoming you and doing that with you. Thank you.
My name is Dr. Lucy Robertson, and I am the Postgraduate Director of Studies here at the School of Textiles and Design, Heriot-Watt University. And so we're all doing lightning talks, 3 minutes ish each on kind of our discipline areas. And my discipline area is fashion and textiles. And Britta has really nicely outlined some of the facts and figures and the impact that the fashion and textile world has on our planet, which I'm sure many of you in the call might be aware of. And some of the things that we do to think about this and to tackle this are on the slide here. So we're looking at kind of regenerative textiles, regenerative crops. And this is the work of a PhD student, Rosie Bristow, who set up something called Fantasy Fibre Mill. And not only is she growing flax and trying to bring the industry of flax back into Scotland, to Britain, she's also creating open source machinery to process the flax. So from actual crop to the fibre itself, so that we can use it within our fashion and textile teaching, making, and processing. Another example, this is one of our recent MA graduates, Amy Lee. She was looking at responsible design for creating leather jackets, making them adaptable, so these sleeves come off from the jacket, and sort of challenging that preconception that vegan leather and fake leathers are actually better for the planet. They are not. They use lots of horrible things to be made. And sometimes you can get waste leather. She used a bit of waste leather. She used very responsible farmed leather in her project. So we've got regenerative textiles happening here. We've got modular garments and zero waste pattern cutting, and how understanding how fashion collections can come together in a more responsible and more sustainable manner. And then just from my own research, I put together a sweetie shop of waste materials. And this was really about celebrating the fact that waste can be used as a starting point for projects, for it being the sort of first material you might go to instead of buying new, instead of sourcing it from all across the world, looking at the waste streams that are right in front of us. We have many waste streams in design, in life, in even the school. You know, there's different waste streams that we could be looking at, that we can then repurpose and think about the circularity of how they might become a product, a textile, whatever it is, but also how they might go back into the world, or into the earth, depending on what we're using. So yeah, so some examples of how within fashion and textiles we are looking at materiality, sustainability, and responsible practices. And yeah, that's me. I'm going to hand over. Sorry, I was looking over there at my screen. I'm going to hand over to Johnny, who's going to cover our UXD program.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Johnny Dutra. I've been here a couple of months ago to talk about our new master program on UX design. In case you want to know more about it, there is a QR code in the screen. But today, you're going to talk about how actually UX design or user experience design tackles the net zero subject. So UX design is more about than creating usable interfaces. Every product, a service we design influences how people behave and make decisions and interact with services and the world. So while UX alone won't achieve net zero, it can actually support more sustainable outcomes by reducing unnecessary complexity and encouraging responsible behaviors and creating products that remain valuable for longer. So when you think about design efficiency in digital experiences, so when you think about good UX, it removes frictions and unnecessary complexity. Yeah. Simple experiences are often more efficient for both users and digital systems. So here you can think about how to simplify user journeys. So how when they start using a service, so how you can make shorter and more meaningful. So meaning reducing unnecessary interactions, optimize content and media, and reduce cognitive load. So you make systems that people understand better, so they spend less time and less energy when you talk about digital services, and actually improving text complexion. So when you think about also how to encourage sustainable behaviors, because design influences behavior, that's a statement. So UX can make sustainable choices easier, clearer, and more accessible through forcing users, without forcing users. So for instance, promote digital services instead of paper. So although you use energy for the screen, but then you have less footprint, supporting repair rather than replacement, and creating systems where people can share products or selling secondhand. So enabling people use it. Before digital services, it was more difficult, and digital world actually makes interaction easier and faster, and also make environmental information about easier to understand. Sometimes people use services and they don't understand the implications about it. So when you actually inform in a more accessible language and formats, it helps people to creating better decisions and guide users towards a more informed decisions. So when you think about also design for longevity, so sustainability also means creating products that continue to provide value over time, reducing the need for constant redesign or replacement. For instance, when you have more accessible and inclusive design, so when you design not just for one specific group, but try to have other types of groups, yeah, and providing customization for them, or for instance, we change font size, or even when you think about dark mode, actually, when you use dark mode for screens, it uses less battery and it lasts longer the energy. So all these details, it makes difference sometimes just offer more customization for the users. It makes them happier and more satisfaction. So yeah, then and creating more durable digital products. So when you think about the impact beyond usability, so modern UX consider broader measures of success. Along usability, designers increasingly think about the wider impact of their products have on people, organizations, and society. And here you can think about environmental impact, social responsibility, ethical technology, accessibility and inclusion, and of course, long-term value creation. So you're creating products that you don't need to be re-implemented or redeveloped. And actually, when you think about and you test the solutions before and with different target groups, and then you make products that actually last longer and actually make sense. Because when you're a designer, you always have to put yourself in other people's shoes. And that's what UX is about, not about you as a designer, but about who you design for. So when you think about a good UX, it's not only about making products easier to use, but it's about design experiences that are efficient, responsible, and creating lasting values for user, organizations, and society. So UX is something that makes your life easier, but also better. So I want to hand over to Lou.
Hello, everyone. My name's Lou. I'm just going to run through the school, basically. So you've heard from 3 of our academic members of staff about some of our programs. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about our design school. So this picture here is actually the High Mill building, which is a beautiful B-listed previously mill building. It's just undergone a refurbishment with some amazing collaborative spaces, lots of studio spaces, amazing facilities. And this is our Scottish Borders campus in the town of Galashiels. And if you can see me behind me, I've got a picture of Scots View. So Galashiels is surrounded by beautiful countryside. Next slide runs through the date, the big date. So the school actually dates back to 1883, and it's the second oldest textiles institute in the world. So it actually started out teaching classes in weaving, dyeing, and chemistry. And over the decades, it evolved, it changed names a few times. And then in the late 1980s, the degrees that were taught by the school were accredited by Heriot-Watt University, and that's where the connection came. And in the late 90s, the school became one of the 5 academic schools at Heriot-Watt University. And here we are in 2026, and this really exciting time where we have some fantastic programs on offer. One of those being Johnny's that he's just talked about, UX design. And if we move on, we actually, so Heriot-Watt, just to give you a little bit of context, so Heriot-Watt has 5 campuses in total, and the design school has a presence at the Scottish Borders campus and also our Dubai campus as well. In total, we have 3 disciplines. So we have communication design, creative environments, and fashion and textiles. And there are 11 programs that you can study. There are undergraduate programs, so Bachelor of Arts. We have Master of Arts and Master of Science programs, as well as PhD opportunities and Master of Research opportunities as well. So just to give you the titles of those subjects, the programs that we have on offer. Just wait for the next slide. There we go. So in fashion and textiles, we have an undergraduate degree in fashion and design for textiles. And then in postgraduate, which I think some of you are probably more interested in the postgrad side, we have the fashion and textiles management. So Britta's touched on a little bit of what is taught in that subject area. Fashion and textiles design. So again, Lucy's kind of touched on some of that. And then the fashion and textiles design actually has a placement as well. So you can do just the 12 months masters with us, or you can do one that has an additional placement. So that's a really nice option. in communication design, we have an undergraduate in communication design and an undergraduate program in fashion branding and promotion. And then postgrad, we have design management. And those three are taught at our Borders campus, but also you can study those subjects at our Dubai campus. Then the program, our brand new program that Johnny's touched on, is the Master of Science in User Experience Design. Brand new for September. We're all very excited about it. And that's a really great subject. The last two master's subjects on this slide, they're really interesting because they attract people from various backgrounds. So don't necessarily need to have a design creative background. They also appeal to people from maybe engineering or business backgrounds as well. And then our final discipline area is our creative environments. So that's our interior architecture and design. So we do an undergraduate degree and a master's degree, and both of those are also taught at our Dubai campus as well. And that's everything for me. That was just kind of wanted to give you a bit of a roundup of what we teach, a little bit of our history as well. We've got this amazing history. And if anybody is interested at all in learning more about our programs, have any questions about our campuses at all, that's my contact details there.
Thank you, Lou. I believe we're just going to hear from Theo as well, if that's okay. So I'm just going to share my screen quickly. This is a pre-recorded piece and done by Theo earlier. So I'm going to hit the play button now, and here we go.
Hi, I'm here to describe and discuss what we're doing within interior architecture and design for a net zero future. So the first idea is that net zero asks a harder question than what interior architecture initially trains us for on designing for the opening day, right? So net zero asks a harder question: what happens to a space the next 10 times it's ripped out and refitted? And for this, I want to start with the example of one of our students, Sneha Varghese, who designed this Flowing Narratives project, a museum designed for River Tweed from the Masters. And the main idea here is that we're trying to not just design for one condition, but design in a very flexible and adaptable manner, essentially not just for occupation, but also a design for assembly and disassembly. So Sneha's museum here is not one fixed building. It's considered as a system meant to be redeployed at multiple nodes along the River Tweed. And that reframes the design question of how does this work to how does it come apart, move, and work again? How do we design systems and not just one object? And you'll see here that this was not only designed as a final result, but there was a process that went deep into analysis of what kind of kit of parts and modularity we should expect out of a design like this. When we try to use standardized components, it essentially uses two wall modules, 3x3 glass roof modules, but also seating, resting areas, and so on and so forth, right? So nothing is bespoke welded in place. Everything is a repeatable unit that, with rearrangements, you're able to understand and conceive exactly how we will work out its reusability. And this is what creates essentially one system and many lives, so flexibility and adaptability into how we design spaces. And from our perspective, we try to really connect design with circular economy, and the discipline also does a lot of research within that aspect on how we deal with being able to trace and create all of the data infrastructure for us to be able to do this kind of work, combining design with circular economy. And you can see here an axonometric of how Sneha built on this, but also a very compelling interiors. And with this, I bid you farewell.
Thanks for that. And I hope everyone could hear that perfectly fine as well. I think if anyone has any questions or didn't catch any of that, then please do let us know and we can share that with you. If I can invite everyone back on at this stage, we're just going to engage in a Q&A. Those that have asked questions, we will try and answer them as best as we can. Lou, if I could perhaps start with you first. I know you spoke most recently, but it's just fresh in the mind a bit while we're talking about it. And one of the questions that came in was around the campuses and where they can study. And I know you mentioned that they have a choice, or the two programs, or the programs are certainly offered in the Borders campus
Yeah.
and Dubai. Do students get a choice, or is it based upon what program they go for?
So right. So at the Borders campus in Galashiels, we teach all of our subjects. So all of our programs are taught there. There are some of the programs that are taught at our Dubai campus. So it's the subjects that come under the communication design discipline area mainly, and our interior architecture and design. So people can apply to study at either campus. If somebody comes to study with us undergraduate, and even at postgraduate, I think this is possible. You can actually, we call it go global, so it's like an inter-campus transfer. So if a program is taught at both campuses, there are opportunities for students to actually study at both campuses. So for an example, our interior architecture and design students, they might start do year 1, year 2 at the Borders campus, and then in year 3 they might apply to go global and go and do a semester at Dubai, or the third year, the whole third year in Dubai, and vice versa as well. Same entry criteria. It's the same curriculum that is taught. There is collaboration. So I think the academics might be able to talk about this a little bit more, but I know that there is project work. So where there is the same courses taught, there might be some collaboration group work across the campuses as well.
Great stuff. Johnny, can I come to you at this point? One of the students have asked about what are the classes like currently doing user design experience at Loughborough, another university that offers that program, and they're keen to explore their options. What would set you guys apart from other institutions? Because it is an emerging program, isn't it? It seems to be very popular at the moment.
Yes, the new program is, but not just the new programs, all the programs in our university always deals with real case briefs. And we have actually not theoretical challenges, but the real challenge that people tackle too. And you always try to connect to the local communities or more global cities. In our case, our campus is in Galashiels. I always like to use examples from Galashiels, but also from Edinburgh, which is a very international city, and also is one of the most beautiful cities in Europe. And also there's a free connection bus between our campus, and it's quite interesting to have this connection. I think I am the product of international education as well. So for people who are really seeking studying abroad, I always think about, of course, what you're going to learn, but where you're going to learn. So our campus is recently refurbished, so you're creating a very exciting design environment and very good facilities for the students. And also the connection to Edinburgh, I think, is like a cherry in the cake.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a good way of putting it, to be fair, and it sounds quite intimate and boutique as well, the classes, which is great. Lucy, can I come to you at this point? There is many opportunities for students when they're studying, no more so than PhDs once they have done and completed their masters. Is that opportunity available with you guys? And if so, what kind of journey is that? Because obviously, it's blimmin' hard, isn't it, to do a PhD? So do they need to kind of choose up front and kind of be vigilant in what they're choosing at this stage when they're looking now? Or would you suggest complete your masters and then look forward?
Yeah, so like Britta's saying, I think you asked, does it matter what you choose at masters? And then shape your PhD? Yes and no. It depends how you want to play it. I did textile design at undergraduate, and I did a PhD in interactive textiles for wellbeing. So I learned quite a lot during the PhD on top of what I already had learned throughout my studies. So yes and no, it matters what you choose now.
Yeah.
Opportunities with us, there are opportunities, and generally it's the person or who you've worked with as a supervisor and that kind of relationship that can form really interesting research questions that are answered through PhDs. But equally, there are websites like How to Find a PhD that there are existing things that research projects are already doing that they want people to work on. So it's a mixed bag of how it kind of happens and how it works. but getting to know supervisors early is always a good idea. Getting to know academics that can supervise.
Okay. I can open this up to all of you. Please feel free to pick up whoever you think would be the most appropriate person. Someone has asked here about they are studying an MBA or they're doing accountancy, and this does interest them. There are many unis that do, and I hate this word, conversion courses. But do you offer anything in terms of helping a student kind of convert to the most relevant subject area? And if so, how does that look? Johnny, can I start with you? Is that okay?
Yeah, I personally I believe that the master's is always an option for reshifting careers. So even when I designed the new uh, master program in UX design, I designed in a way that is valuable for those who already are in the area, but also creating opportunity for people who actually want to shift their careers. Because I did that myself. I studied humanities and then I changed for media, and then I did another one about UX design. So I think the master's is a very good opportunity for actually redefine your career. And I truly believe that. I believe the education, especially in the post-graduation, is where actually you can tackle in a different course if you want to make a change. And yeah.
Excellent. Britta, I think we've got you back now. Lucy
Yeah,
did elaborate a little bit further on what you were talking about, which was very kind of her. But I don't know if I
I
wanted to come
kind
back
of
to you now
heard
and
it.
perhaps
Yeah, I
complete what you
uh,
were saying.
yeah, I kind of heard that, so I totally agree. Can you hear me now?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect. I also agree with what Johnny said. I think I understand, Gareth, you're saying conversion masters doesn't have a great sound to it, but we could see it more positively, I think. Once you have reached a certain level of expertise in one subject area, it is a huge advantage to actually expand expertise in other subject areas as well, because we will not solve any of the big sustainability issues with one discipline alone. So it is vastly important to be able to dip into different disciplines mindsets, to understand how other disciplines work, to combine technology with marketing mindsets, to be able to design with a very strong material knowledge as well. So it is really important to consider to not just study at a deeper level in the subject you have always been interested in, but to also go sideways.
Excellent. Thank you.
Can I
For those of you
also,
asking questions, I'm deliberately leaving admissionsy types questions until the end. Go on, Lou. Please do elaborate. Feel free.
no, that's fine. I was just going to jump in with something that is a bit more admissionsy, so I will wait until
There
the
you go. On cue.
end. Okay.
Okay. Feel free to jump in if you wanted to, but we'll still talk about it at the end if you wanted to, Lou.
It was just to say that although we don't have, I guess, what some of the other universities have, conversion courses, what Johnny and Britta have said is that we're so open to people from a variety of backgrounds. So even if your undergraduate degree isn't directly related, our masters are set up so the academics work with the students on their interests. And so when you apply, I think it's just getting across that interest, that kind of real your ambition and your enthusiasm for the subject that you're applying for.
Yeah, well said. Okay. Lucy, someone's asked here directly about at the School of Textile and Design. How is AI changing the textile industry and how can we benefit from it? That's quite a broad question. And imagine if you knew the exact answer to that, you probably wouldn't be sat here, you'd be on a beach somewhere. But if you could try and answer that as best as you can to your knowledge, because obviously it is always changing, isn't it?
Yes, I saw that one. Yes, I think more broadly, AI, from my point of view, is something that we need to understand further as academics, but also as students. I don't think we can completely shy away from it. Um, I think in design, in reality, nobody can really replace, the kind of creativity of a human. However, it can be used as a creative tool, the same way that having a discussion with someone else is. I use it as more of a brainstorming thing if I'm ever using AI. I ask it questions. It sometimes gives me answers that make no sense. It sometimes gives me answers that make some sense. But in terms of designing, there's lots of AI tools within things like Adobe Suite and Clo 3D, which is a fashion drafting technology that, you know, do make life quicker, easier. But just, I don't know anyone, I'm going to go to a reference here, but I don't know if anyone's watching The Pit, but they're talking about AI taking notes for doctors, for example. And it just cannot replace a human. It still needs proofread, it still needs checked. The same with if it gives you any references, you never know where those references come from. So as a design student, I would experiment with it and ask us what's allowed within courses, because it's not always allowed in the same way. But be wary that it's not going to replace your creativity. It's not going to replace your brilliant brains. And let's see what happens in the next few years with how it changes textiles, how it changes design. I'm sure there's other thoughts on this in the room.
Yeah, Britta, can I come to you? And if you do experience any technical problems, then I'll just abruptly cut you off, don't worry. But I do think when it comes to research, it's a really important point, because the whole point of doing a research degree is to obviously further your education, but obviously make a difference in the future. And it is such a relevant topic at the moment, the use of technology and AI, and it's important that people don't allow it to take over. Instead, like Lucy mentioned there, perhaps use it to guide them and help them instead of taking over. Is that a fair assessment?
It absolutely is. And we're already using a lot of artificial intelligence, have done before the big debate about it started. And we've used it to good effect in order to have access to vast amounts of information and to reach people that before we weren't able to reach. And that will probably continue. There are ethical issues around it. If AI gets its knowledge from people and sources who haven't agreed to give that up. So that is something that certainly needs to be sorted. And I believe the European Union is very much onto that. So I'm sure we'll get there. But I think it is not just creativity, as Lucy has rightly said, that we see as a very human, or at least sentient being quality, but it is also the engagement with people. So we see design as really closely linked to people. And, you know, you need to bring people with you. You need to convince people. You need to talk to people. You need to design with people, rather than just putting something onto the market and hope it gets picked up by marketing. So there are very human qualities that we will require for good design, or even better design for the future. But we must embrace AI as well, like we have done for a long time. We must be sure that we've got the right ethics around it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so prevalent to everything we do these days. So please use it to help you rather than take it. And that goes for the application stage as well, not just when you're actually learning. I'm going to ask a few more admissions-y types questions now. Lou, if I can come to you first, if that's okay, just on the basis that you were willing to answer one earlier. So I'm going to come to you first. Someone has asked, is this online? And secondly, if it's on campus, which it is, do you need good English? If you're from an English-speaking country as your primary mother tongue, such as Nigeria or Ghana, do they still need a certificate?
Yes. So there are certain countries, it isn't a university decision, so we have to abide by the UK visa and immigration rules. So we have to go by the countries that they state require proof of English language. So there is actually a really helpful page on our website. So if you go to Heriot-Watt's website, which is just www.hw.ac.uk, and in the search box there, you can type in entry English requirements. It'll bring up a really helpful page, and it actually breaks it down with certain nationalities as well. So there's information there, and there's certain things like those English tests that we accept, English tests we don't accept, and then sometimes, depending on nationality, depending on timing of when you did your undergraduate degree, if that was taught in and assessed in English, it might be that there's an exception that you can get a letter. But I would say that web page is updated very frequently. So that's got the most up-to-date English entry criteria. And then yes, we don't have online teaching at the moment.
Yeah, just
It is in
to elaborate on
person.
that, people might go, "Oh, why don't you offer online programs?" But I mean, if you could see what the campuses are like at Borders and obviously the main campus in Edinburgh also, but also you've got flexibility, which not other universities have. You know, you've got the campuses in Dubai and also Malaysia as well. I know it's not appropriate to all courses and programs, but there is that flexibility, which is great. If I can just carry on around funding and scholarships, it's not something we've really spoken too much about so far, but students will inevitably need help funding and especially with key topics coming up, like Chevening Scholarship is opening in August. How would a student go about applying for that? Is that done automatically? And if it's externally, how do they go about sorting that one as well?
So again, our website has got so much
Yeah.
information on there, and that search bar on the homepage, if you search for scholarships, that will bring you to the scholarships and bursary page. And we're at that kind of strange period where we're just about to go into a new academic year. So any scholarships that were available have been obviously nominated for the upcoming academic year. So, but as you said, Gareth, there is the Chevening Scholarship opening up. So people need to start thinking maybe August, September time to have a look and see what's available. It can change from year to year. So I recommend go to that webpage and have a look at what's going to be available for the following academic year.
Yeah, absolutely. And just sticking on kind of the application theme, what is it you're looking? You'll sift through thousands of applications in a year, and you'll identify students that you will want in your programs, in your classes, and those who are perhaps not appropriate. What is it you're looking for in an application form that makes you go, right, there for us? Is it purely down to their personality, how much they want it, how much hunger there is from within, or is it just purely their education?
So this education is a starting point.
Yeah.
So I'm in recruitment now, but I used to work in admissions. So I've seen a lot of applications over the years. So yeah, we have minimum entry criteria. So we are looking for our masters, for example, we're looking for an undergraduate honours degree at a certain level. However, if somebody doesn't have that, we do sometimes take in to consideration industry experience as well. Our admissions team, so it's enthusiasm. We want to see the kind of connection, the link. So if it, what's the journey of that applicant? What they've studied, what have they worked in the industry, and why are they kind of applying? So we need to be able to kind of connect the dots from an admissions point of view. And then some of our programs require a portfolio. So the fashion and textiles design program and the interior architecture and design programs, they require a portfolio. And then also I think it's really good to, if you are interested and you're not quite sure about your background, to contact some of the academics. So Lucy, I know, talks to a lot of people who are inquiring about our programs. So yes, we're looking at certain criteria that's on our website. However, we don't just kind of say they don't have that, they don't hit that criteria. The more information somebody puts in their application, the better.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And Britta, back to you if that's okay at this point. Let's just talk about the demographic of the student, because there's obviously a stereotype that a student will finish university, their undergrad degree, go into masters, and then if they don't do it straight away, perhaps they can't do it. Obviously, the biggest increase that we've seen in demographics has been in that kind of 30 to 45 kind of age bracket. But obviously, the beauty of doing research is there is no kind of age stop on it, is there? It doesn't really matter. And I imagine from your side, you see different types of people, different people from different backgrounds of families, perhaps young single people, older single people that are looking to kind of engage within their passion. And I imagine that's what makes it so exciting for you.
Oh, it certainly does. We have a really varied demographic amongst our student population, undergraduate, but even more so postgraduate and postgraduate research students. And as you say, there's an increasing number of people returning to education after they've done work in industry. We have people who have gained really valuable experience in an industry that they understand needs an injection of new ideas, however, and they want to be part of that, and they want to really change through education, you know, what can be offered at industry level as well. And so it's great to see people with that life and experience, you know, knowledge in industry as well, coming back into education and then working with people who have come straight from, you know, their undergraduate degree, or people who have come through unusual paths back to university as well. So it's a really good mix. It simulates in many ways as well the stakeholder constituencies we need to bring together in research to actually do research that can have an impact in the real world rather than something that retains or remains entirely academic. So it's fantastic to see a mixed demographic. So we encourage everyone, even if they think, oh, I am not quite probably what they're looking for, there won't be anybody like me at the university, do apply, you know, and find, you know, friends and find, you know, partners in crime that you can work with and change the design, you know, futures at university. You'll really find them here at Heriot-Watt.
Okay, and I'm going to start with the master's programs and we'll talk about the research afterwards again. Someone's just asked about, am I expected to work while studying my master's? Obviously, it can be quite hard graft studying a master's, depending on how much effort you want to put into it and how much you want to get out of it. But Lou, if I can come back to you at this point again, do students typically work through their studies, or do they have, you know, do they work for the university at the student union? Do they work externally? How does that work, especially within perhaps the Borders campus, where it's a little bit more isolated than the main campus, but how would that work with students?
Yeah, so a lot of our students work. They do. Depending if you're an international student and you're here on a visa, then you are limited to how many hours you can work per week, which is 20 hours per week. That's a visa restriction. But outside of semester time, you can actually work more hours than that. But my advice when somebody asks me this is like part-time work, majority of students will do. There's lots of places to work in Galashiels town centre. There are some students who might travel to Edinburgh for a part-time job as well. But you are here primarily to study. So we don't want your studies to suffer. Yeah, but part-time jobs, yeah, is the norm. I would say probably a large percentage of students all have a job.
And that's the same for research students, Britta. Would that be the same? Because obviously it is a journey, you know, research goes, I want to give up. I love it. I want to give up again. And, you know, it's that part and parcel of that journey. But, you know, students do typically work and then form their studies around that.
They do. Don't forget that a research degree is longer than a taught degree as well. So, you know, you'll be committed to 3.5 to 4 years on that. So quite a lot of our students do work unless they have full bursaries and scholarships. So again, you know, as Lou said, we encourage our students to really behave like full-time students. We'll have you concentrate on your studies full-time, but you know, you're free, of course, what to do in the remaining hours of your week, you know, within visa restrictions. And many postgraduate research students also work, and it can be quite enriching actually, either because you might still work in the industry that you're trying to design futures for, so you're getting insights that way, or because you choose to do something entirely different and it allows you to switch off properly from your studies. So there's advantages as well as challenges, I think, in working as a student, and most people manage it well.
Excellent. And just to wrap up quickly, presumably all these programs at the moment, we're not too late for September 2026. It is still open probably just by the skin of your teeth perhaps, but you have still got a chance. But if not, the next intake date's September 27. Are there any interim dates for any of your programs?
I can jump in here. So yes, so if you're an international student, you don't have much longer to apply for September. If you're a UK-based student, no visa requirements, then you have a little bit longer to the end of August. But we also, on our master's programs, we offer all of our master's programs start date in January. So if you've missed September, maybe you need a little bit more time to think, then you can apply for January. And that, I'm not sure if that's opened up yet. If not, you'll be able to apply for January intake in the next few weeks, I would have thought.
Yeah, it's normally across the board. It's normally end of July, start of August, so it's not too far away. And that is so flexible again. You know, there are so many universities that are very rigid with their intake dates, and it's September after September after September. So, you know, if you are applying as a student for funding or scholarship and you've not been successful, you only have to wait actually a few more months before you can perhaps get to the university and do your research degree or master's degree. So, great opportunity. Everyone, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. It's flown by. I don't know where that's gone. If anyone has any questions today, please email ourselves webinars@postgradsolutions.com. Alternatively, we will be in touch with all of you that have registered for today's session. It has been a very popular one. And we will send you some more information about what today's session has entailed. If any links have been shared or discussed, we'll also share that with you. But also a copy of today's video will be live for you in the next 48 hours for you to watch just before the weekend, hopefully. But if you have any questions, please do let us know. But for now, thank you, all of you involved, Johnny, Lucy, Britta, Lou, and to those in the background, Mel, and to Lindsay also. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.